Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone is having a great day. It is Wednesday, February 11th. Welcome to another episode of Mic'd Up, second episode of 2026. Lots of exciting stuff to talk about. Farewell goodbye to NFL. Lots of stuff going on with the Olympics, tragedies, triumphs, and we got lots of golf coming up in the PGA. Also basketball coming up. March Madness approaching. That's what we got talking about here on this show. First, to start off basketball, I haven't, looked too much into it. I haven't been keeping up with it. Obviously, been keeping up mainly with Georgia basketball, but I know that Georgia has a tough matchup against Florida tonight. The 14th ranked Gators, they go to Stegeman Coliseum to play the Dogs at home in Athens. It's going to be an exciting one. I know that Arizona went down a couple nights ago to Kansas. They were 23-0 before they were struck down by the Jayhawks, and Kentucky is surging back into the top 25. I know that they just beat Tennessee, escaped that. I know they started off the season rough. Lots of Kentucky fans were disappointed with their start and how Mark Pope was running things around there. But despite that, they've been kind of showing that they can fight and they can play. I know that they still have a matchup against Georgia sometime within the next week or so, a couple of weeks. Obviously, we're running kind of the mid-mark around February, so that means March is creeping up even quicker than we've imagined. Obviously, Louisville, they've been pretty consistent all season. I know that they've been I know Kentucky's kind of catching up to them in the sense of, record and whatnot, how many wins they have. Obviously, ACC is a different conference than the SEC when it comes to basketball. It's, two different complete sets of competition there. Louisville actually just beat NC State by quite the margin last night. They put up NBA-type numbers. I know that Michael Brown, their star player, he had a great night that night. I have to look directly into the stats he had, but I heard that he had a tremendous night. He was a tremendous part of that win there. Despite the NC State, they played, towards the end, they kind of were able to score a little bit more points, but I guess that was just Louisville's night. And they were 18-6 going into that game and unranked, so, it's not like a, FCS school they're beating the crap out of, some random team in the middle of Kentucky they're beating. So, yeah, obviously, like I said, March Madness coming up. But that's not the main topic of discussion. Obviously, when it comes closer to that time, I'll have a little bit more information about, matchups, players, who to watch, all this stuff, whatnot. Basically, what we're talking about here is the main sports, the biggest sports. Not saying basketball isn't the biggest sport, but it definitely, compared to NFL, compared to this stuff, man. We do not have any college football news today. There's not been a lot going on. Obviously, we've kind of been in, the offseason now. Transfer portal has closed for now. Obviously, like I said, other than for graduate students. But let's get right into it. So NFL wrapped up on Sunday with arguably one of the worst Super Bowls we've seen in recent history. Obviously, the score might say otherwise, 29-13. But, for 3 quarters, it was pretty much scoreless. It wasn't scoreless. It was 9-0. Obviously, Seattle had a surge. They ended up scoring, I want to say 15 points with their kicker, with Jason Myers. Surprised he didn't win MVP. Obviously, it was Kenneth Walker that had quite the game. Just a complete force on the ground, able to control the entire game. Just being able to push the team, push the Seahawks into field goal range, be able to get them that lead with field goals. Obviously, there was this late little dwarf surge by the Patriots. But despite that, still got destroyed by the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, and with that, Clint Kubiak, in a post-game interview, officially announced that he will be going to the Las Vegas Raiders. I know that he had his introductory meeting yesterday with the team, so now he's boots on the ground there in Las Vegas. I know that he's very excited to be there, and who wouldn't want to be excited going to Las Vegas? Obviously, you can gamble all your money away, like Calvin Ridley. Obviously got to always mention him, and I'm probably going to mention him here in a second when I talk about something else. Hint, hint, foreshadow. But basically, yeah, no. So I know that he was, like I said in the last episode, he was looking for a team that he could draft this quarterback and kind of, manipulate this team around him. Obviously, there's not really much manipulation you have to do. Practically get him in O-line. It's your first priority. Draft Mendoza. Obviously they have, draft capital. They haven't, dispelled too much of that. Obviously, you have Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends in the league, if not. Of course, without Geno Smith, it's a completely different story, but he was still playing pretty damn good ball with him and with Aiden O'Connell and with the whole quarterback situation that they had there in Las Vegas. Obviously, you have GNT, Heisman winner. He was really a Heisman finalist, but Heisman winner. We all know this. So, yeah. Obviously, the future is looking bright there in Las Vegas. I know that there has been talks about Max Crosby and his future with the Raiders in the past few days, and this has been circling more around towards what's been happening in Atlanta with the news that I will be talking about here in a second, and not so much of a optimistic and bright view. But obviously, he did have surgery. I want to say his ankle. He had surgery somewhere recently, and he will be missing time. Don't think that it would be too drastic where he's going to miss part of the season, but obviously he's going to be an interesting target for a lot of teams in the postseason. Obviously, David Njoku is as well, stating that he will not be returning to the Browns. I know that at a point there was an interview where he seemed optimistic about not leaving Cleveland. He was very excited to be there and be with the Browns. Obviously, a different story with Stefanski's out of town because, Stefanski is known for using his tight ends like Njoku, like Fannin, like all the great guys that they have there. That's why they're somewhat successful on offense at times. But obviously, when the quarterback situation's a little shaky, it can be different. But now Stefanski's in Atlanta. We have the whole situation that's going on. Not too much with the offense, obviously. Michael Penix is, being evaluated, doing rehab right now, going through the motions and stuff like that following his ACL injury. But yeah, so Super Bowl was a huge, huge bummer. Obviously did want to talk about something for a second. The Super Bowl itself sucked. Yeah, the Super Bowl was horrible. Commercials were mid-tier. I mean, they were all right. I like the Budweiser commercial with Freebird, like the Dunkin' commercial, like the Instacart commercial. Instacart commercial is probably the best one. But I think main topic of discussion is Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny in the halftime. Obviously, a lot of people might not see it as too American. Obviously, Puerto Rico is literally, he's from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is literally a U.S. territory. But obviously, he's representing something bigger than the U.S. I mean, even though it's kind of his idea is bringing everybody in with, love, not hate. But I know that a lot of people were very disappointed, which I'm not going to say that I'm like, oh, wow, this was a great halftime show. Obviously, I'm not going to go too much into detail about it because it's none of my right to talk here on the show. But I think that it's just people were taking it way too damn seriously. It's just music. Music isn't too bad, honestly. Obviously, I don't understand half of it, but I listen to Latin music all the time, so half the shit I don't understand. So just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, great for him. I know that Ronald Acuna was in the halftime show, and I was very confused. I was like, all right, shit, damn. I know that he is from Puerto Rico. That's where he originates from. Very, very excited to see him kind of get out here, show his face. So that's exciting. But yeah, so it wasn't too bad. Obviously, a lot of people had their words about Kendrick Lamar last year. That was a pretty damn good halftime show. But yeah, so yeah. Previously, the night before, a few nights before, on Thursday night, we had the NFL Honors. And NFL Honors is where I really want to raise my questions and how I'm going to develop into this next topic of discussion here. So, NFL Honors, obviously, Matthew Stafford damn near should have been unanimous MVP. Played his heart out all season. I mean, realistically, could have gone to the Super Bowl, but I mean, he's playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks were a pretty damn good team. Defense was pretty much perfect. I think it was Tariq Woolen or Devon Witherspoon. One of those two guys were kind of the weakness of the defense, but I mean, it's just, it's a little bit of an off slope for the guys. But other than that, they're playing damn good ball. I say that because I get Reek and Witherspoon confused a lot. There was a lot of identical looking guys in that defense. I know that the numbers it's the whole thing. We had Jackson Smith and Jigba, Offensive Player of the Year. Realistically, I think it should have been Puka, but I mean, JSN, I'm not going to be pissed about it. I think Puka had a better playoff debut. Not debut, but he had a better playoff performance. He had 100 or something more yards than JSN in the playoffs. He had more touchdowns, I want to say. Obviously, he did play one extra game leading up to that point. Obviously, JSN ended up playing the same amount of games because he played in the Super Bowl. But even then, JSN didn't play too damn good in the Super Bowl. Christian Gonzalez, let's talk about that. Been playing his ass off all game. Very unfortunate that they have a sub-tier offense, and we give those grades to young players. Speaking mainly to Will Campbell, obviously the famous Cam Newton phrase, because dude played like shit the entire game. Obviously he's been on kind of a downhill slope in the playoffs, getting his ass bent in. But dude's a rookie offensive lineman. I can go back to the Cam Newton quote, but he's a rookie. Give him time. I know that he's balling out there. I know that a lot of people have been using that quote that he said that you give up 12 sacks, or you sack a quarterback 12 times a game, you're going to be a top 5 pick. You give up 12 sacks a game as an offensive lineman, you're going to be working at Amazon. Obviously, that kind of backfired on him, but he's a rookie. Like I said, we're going to give those grades to young players, but better not make that damn mistake again. Yeah, Myles Garrett, obviously unanimous defensive player of the year. One of two. J.J. Watt was previously that in 2000 and... can't remember when it was. But, yeah, he is in elite company in that group. Obviously, unanimous. Damn right. Unanimous. Broke the sack record previously held by Strahan, I want to say. But, yeah, great for Myles Garrett. Comeback player of the year was Christian McCaffrey. I think that was pretty solid. I don't know who else was the nominees for that one. But yeah, no, great for him. He's been pretty much carrying that team, obviously through the injuries and whatnot. He was somehow able to stay, somewhat intact throughout the year. Bobby Wagner, Walter Payton Award, not too much about that. I don't look too much into that award. It's not really like a performance-based award. It's just, give back to the community. Obviously, also, Christian McCaffrey won Salute to Services. That's one where it's not really like performance-based that I kind of give more praise to, because it's super, it's good that we are giving our props to, veterans and whatnot. Coach Vrabel, a lot of people were controversial about that, especially with the Super Bowl that just ended. Coach Mike Vrabel for the Patriots won Coach of the Year. A lot of people were saying it should have been Mike McDonald, but what can you do? Liam Cohen was in that running too. Trevor Lawrence was also in the MVP voting, which kind of threw me off for a second. I knew that he damn well wasn't going to win that compared to Matthew Stafford, and then Terrell McMillan, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not too much against that. He balled out. Obviously, the whole Panthers organization balled out for the most part, 8-9. But still, they put up a good fight in the wild card in Carolina. And Carson Schlesinger. This is where it's gonna get a little frisky. Carson Schlesinger. I know that his main stat line for winning Defensive Rookie of the Year was tackles. Okay, cool. Everybody can tackle. All those other guys could tackle. Obviously, there was probably a different tackle gap between that. But, when the rest of your defense... Well, I won't say the rest of your defense. Well, basically what I'm going to say is he didn't deserve it. Props to him. Congrats to him. But in this sense of stats, he was not up there with Nick Emenwari, James Pearce. The fact that he won it really confused me. Realistically... I was saying it should have been James Pearce, which it honestly should have, but I think Xavier Watts honestly should have won it. A lot of people were saying, no, Nick Emenwari, he deserves it. He's in the playoffs. His blah blah blah. He's part of the reason that his defense is leading the team to be in the playoffs. Okay, well, let's look at it like this. Xavier Watts, he has 5 interceptions compared to Nick Emenwari's 1 interception. We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl because, it's completely different. I don't like to talk about postseason when we're talking about, like, MVPs and all this and whatnot. But Nick Emenwari had... Xavier Watts had 59. At least that's what it says on ESPN stats. I'm not going to go too much in depth about that. Pass deflections. I think Nick Emenwari had around 7. Xavier Watts had 11. So basically what I'm getting at here is if you're going to talk about Nick Emenwari, you're damn well going to talk about Xavier Watts. I know that James Pearce was 3rd in voting. Nick Emenwari was 2nd. Nick Emenwari had like 7 votes. James Pearce had like 3 or 4. Yeah, so Carson Schlesinger is the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, huge congrats to him. I have my questions, but I'm not going to go too depth into it because, it's not that big of a deal. What's done is done. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But going back to the Super Bowl, obviously the main headline was that the Seahawks were able to get their get back on the Patriots, obviously with everything that happened, 1 yard line, Malcolm Butler, all that. People are probably still going to talk about that. But at least Seahawks can rebuttal it with what just happened. So now it makes you wonder. The Seahawks were able to get back on the Patriots. Can the Falcons get payback on the Patriots? And before Sunday, before all this news, I knew that was going to happen for the most part. Yeah, I pretty much knew it was going to happen. Patriots kind of had a cupcake schedule going into the playoffs, going into the Super Bowl. But what I will say is I was like, okay, maybe the Falcons could have a chance to go there within the next few years. I'm not going to be too optimistic about it. Obviously, I've kind of lost all hope, especially now. But I'm like, we have a damn good chance. We have a damn good defense. If we're able to retain a lot of these guys in free agency, like Caden Ellis, Arnoldo Bichetti. I know that's two names of our defense. I think it's mainly just offensive free agent guys that we need to keep track of, which I think we will. Obviously, we're in a little bit of cap hell. Not hell, but kind of in a moderate cap area. But I'm like, yeah, we just had two rookie defenders in the Defensive Rookie of the Year finalist. They were finalists for that award. We have Bijan Robinson, who was Offensive Player of the Year finalist. We had, we have a new coach. We have a two-time Coach of the Year in Kevin Stefanski. He brings over Tommy Rees from Cleveland, which I'm not going to be too, it's a different team now. We have, Michael Penix, a somewhat seasoned quarterback. Not really. He's been in his second year, kind of injured. Obviously, he's got a, hungry dog mindset. So I'm kind of optimistic because we just cleared office. We have Ian Cunningham, who's part of 2 Super Bowl front offices. We bring in, I believe, the offensive line coach from Tennessee. Not too mad about that. Able to keep Jeff Ulbrich. I know Jeff Ulbrich is going to cook with whoever we bring in, within the late rounds next year, because I think we're probably still going to be focusing on a little bit of defense, maybe get some offensive line in there, some protection for Michael Penix. We'll be getting Caleb McGarry back, obviously Chris Lindstrom. That's a whole thing. So yeah, I'm optimistic. Going into Sunday, I'm not mad. I'm excited for all this. I'm excited for all this Falcons news. I just want to watch the Super Bowl and get on with the offseason and see where the Falcons can go from here. Then I get an ESPN notification. I don't know if it was an ESPN notification. It wasn't. It was actually from Instagram, so I didn't really know whether to trust it or not. James Pearce arrested in Miami-Dade County. And I'm like, oh, shit. Uh-oh. Man. So it can't be nothing like horrible. NFL players get arrested all the time. Like Tyreek Hill, that whole thing happened. He got like semi-detained, semi-arrested. I don't know. He had a whole game thing going on. I'm like, okay, so maybe he, it was like a small traffic violation. I'm saying nothing too crazy. James Pearce. Oh, man. James Pearce was charged for battery, domestic violence, a handful of hefty, penalties against him. Rickea Jackson. So, yeah, he was arrested. Committed assault on an officer, hit him in the leg with his car. He was hitting other police cars. I think he was trying to hit Rickea Jackson's car. Basically being a deranged lunatic. And I'm not going to say I saw this coming because I didn't necessarily, but I had heard about his character issues earlier on in the season. So now I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay. So the Atlanta Falcons, they traded their first-round pick in 2026, the one that we would have used on, I don't know, anyone that's good. I know the quarterbacks aren't too, wonderful, but that's not our main concern. We could have gotten, a baller out of the first round. So we trade this first-round pick to the Rams to get James Pearce, take a shot in the dark, and this shot ends up hitting. It ends up sinking. It's one of the best shots we've taken under Terry Fontenot and, Raheem Morris and that whole front office. So now that shot that we took, it's completely done. It's down the drain. James Pearce just shut down his leg. Now, what makes these NFL players with all this money and, a whole career in front of them peaking, literally peaking, 10.5 sacks, defensive rookie of the year finalist, and you do some dumbass shit like this, and then everything surges back up. Players from high school saying, oh, he's crazy, he's a psychopath, he's a lunatic, he's insane. Obviously, clips from training camp where he was getting into altercations. That was more at the time seen of like okay, so we didn't have much of a kind of headliner in the defense last year. We didn't have much of a staple, kind of efficient, hard, gritty, angry guy in the defense last year, and that's what we needed for pass rush. So we get that. Obviously, we kind of brush that aside. We're like, oh yeah, dude, it just shows that he's a player and he cares about the game. He's willing to get a little dirty. This is not what we meant. James, this is not what we meant. What are we doing? So now, I know that today, Rakia, which is from a WNBA team, I don't know which one. I don't watch too much of the WNBA, obviously. She's going to be going against him in trial today. She said that she will. I don't know when officially the court trial is, whenever it starts, blah, 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 all of this. I know that he posted bond for like 20 G's. But, yeah, so now I think that he's basically fighting against her and whatever cop that he assaulted with his car. Obviously, it took like 5 guys to take him down, so that pisses me off even more that he's a straight-up dog. So, yeah. But knowing this, depending on how much time he'll get, it could be a lot worse than we think it is, because this is not like a battery charge. These battery charges aren't like no. He assault on an officer. That's hefty. It's pretty hefty, at least from my knowledge. I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but any lawyers that want to dispute me and kind of show me the evidence, I mean, talk to me all you want. So the Atlanta Falcons, obviously they've been kind of sensitive with the subject, and now the new regime under Matt Ryan and Ian Cunningham is at test. Jeff Ulbrich is at test. How can we rally the guys back? I know that we still have Jalen Walker, who was a promising prospect that we drafted originally first, like 15th or 11th in the draft last year. I know that he had his moments throughout the year, but now it's time for him to hopefully step up to kind of rally this pass rush. I know that we still have a couple of guys that from past years that might be able to contribute. I know Zach Harrison's still there, I want to say. I don't know how much he'll contribute to the pass rush. I know that he's been kind of more like an interior guy. But, yeah. So James Pearce, more than likely, depending on, I'll give an update on this when it comes out. That'll be like kind of the last NFL news until, we get a little bit of stuff in the offseason. So for now, the Atlanta Falcons are out a pass rusher. And knowing this, like I said earlier with the whole Calvin Ridley thing, Roger Goodell he'll probably come back. He'll probably give, him a 5 to 8 game fine, for assaulting people, for clear physical and, mental violence. But, Calvin Ridley bets on a few games. He hops on rain bet or some shit. He hops on draft picks, gambles for a little bit of Falcons games, even though he was betting against us. And you give him a full season. So, obviously, I'm going to milk this conversation towards the end of time. Every single time something like this pops up. Obviously, the Henry Ruggs situation was different. And that's what I'm going to say. Like, with past disputes, with past legal issues with NFL players, obviously Henry Ruggs, he didn't have ill intentions. He was just an idiot, James Pearce, he had ill intentions, plus he was an idiot. So this is even worse. Like, you have a choice to not do this shit. So, yeah. Falcons are out of that, and that's what I was talking about earlier with Max Crosby. I know that he's had a little bit of injury history within the past year. So it could be a guy that the Falcons can target in free agency. I know that they're going to be in a little bit of cap hell. Obviously, we're getting rid of Kirk Cousins in the beginning of the offseason in March. So we're going to be under a little bit. We're going to have to be re-signing guys. I don't know if we're going to re-sign Algier. Obviously, we have Bijan. I don't know if Algier is going to stay here, want to stay here. I mean, I know that he loves Atlanta. I know that he loves the guys. Obviously, Bijan and him are like, yin and yang, Sonic and Knuckles, like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs back in Detroit. It's kind of like the same exact thing, except we have better running backs. But for that, I don't even know if I want this guy back. He's probably just going to do the same thing again. Yeah. Prayers up for his lawyer. Hopefully he has a good one. Hopefully he can get back. Only missed a few games. But I know that we have the whole quarterback situation. Kirk Cousins is going to be out, or he's going to be gone. He's going to be somewhere else. And then Michael Penix, I know that he's kind of not rushing rehab, but he's making a really good pace in rehab. A lot of people are saying that he said that he might be able to get back by week 1. I don't know if I really want that, because rushing that is just going to mean he's going to get injured. He's more injury prone after than before. So, yeah, no, I don't know if I want that. So, Jalen Walker, please step up for the Falcons. Please. Because this new era with the new uniforms isn't going to start well. I can tell. It's going to be interesting, but only time will tell kind of what is going on here. I know that we have a super duper hard schedule next year. Absolutely brutal. We play like the NFC North and like the AFC West, I want to say. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. Whew. So, into lighter news for the most part. Obviously, we have the Olympics going on. Been kind of watching things here and there. I know that I've seen things about Ilya Malinin. Is that how you pronounce his name? He's called the Quad God, U.S. figure skater. Like, dude literally did a backflip during figure skating. Straight, wow, that was insane. So, yeah, no, huge for him. I know that Norway is currently leading the pack as of 4:30, I believe yesterday. Norway has 13 total medals, 7 gold, 2 silver, 4 bronze. Switzerland in second with 4 gold, 1 silver, 2 bronze, obviously 7 total. United States has 10 total compared to Switzerland's 7 total, but they have 1 less gold, 4 more silvers, and the same amount of bronzes. So 3, 5, 2. Then we got Sweden, Germany following in suit behind them with 6 and 6. So that's what we got basically going on for the Olympics. I need to kind of look into it more, kind of cover it more. But obviously Lindsey Vonn, it's been kind of the main topic of discussion for the Olympics. Brutal injury. I believe, she broke her leg. It was like a fractured tibia, or I'm not a doctor or anything. I can't pronounce it. She was actually performing for the Olympics on a torn ACL that she suffered in the prelims, or the practice rounds a week ago. So that, which she says was not part of that, but we're not just treating like a torn ACL you pull your leg or something, it's a bruise or something. So yeah, so that's basically what the Olympics got going on. I know that they have the hockey kind of going on today and tomorrow within the next few days up until the 15th. I think then we got the rounds after that. Obviously, Slovakia and Finland are playing right now. It's currently tied at break. We got, some good matchups like Sweden and Italy, Czechia and Canada, Germany, Denmark, Latvia, United States, Finland versus Sweden. Some other good matchups. Hopefully, a lot of people are hoping that the United States and Canada will be facing each other. Hopefully, within the next few rounds. I think that'll happen. We got really good hockey teams compared to everybody else. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on in the hockey world right now. And that's basically the summit for the Olympics. So now we are on to the final topic of discussion today. That is the PGA Tour. That is golf that we got going on. I know that we just had the Phoenix Open Players Tournament. That's what it is. Obviously, Chris Gotterup beats Hitsu. I don't even know how to say his first name. Matsuyama in the playoff. Wins it on the first hole. Ends up winning 3-4. They were tied going into the final. I know that Scotty Scheffler surged on Sunday. He was under 7 or something like that, and he just completely surged up. I didn't watch too much of the finals there. Got some clips there and here and there, But great for Chris Goddard. I know he's a Rutgers alumni. We're jazzed about that. And then we have this weekend, which actually starts tomorrow, Thursday, February 12th. We have the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro AM in Pebble Beach, California. Last winner was Rory McIlroy. So that'll be for a purse of $20 million. Wow. Holy. Genesis Invitational follows the weekend after that. Next Thursday, I want to say. And then we have Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Joe Highsmith was the previous winner. Purse $9,600,000. So lots of golf going on. Arnold Palmer obviously will be March. It'll kind of be the first March tournament. I know that the Cognizant Classic that kind of starts off. It ends on March 1st. Puerto Rico Open, obviously, after that, in Puerto Rico, Rio Grande, sorry. Obviously, after the Arnold Palmer in Orlando. And then we have the Players' Championship, one of kind of in the middle of March. That's where I'm going to kind of stop. Obviously, Rory McIlroy is the previous winner, going back to the great playoff that we had last year between him and JJ Spawn. So, hopefully, he'll be chasing that. This is for a bag of $25 million. $25 million. And that's the most expensive purse until I think all season up until the Tour Championship over in August, which is obviously $40 million. Tommy Fleetwood last won that one. But yeah, so I will actually be at the final day of the Players Championship here in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. That's gonna be exciting. Very excited for that. Watch a lot of great guys, face off. Obviously, we had a classic last year. Was able to watch, the final holes between JJ Spawn and Rory McIlroy. It really came down to the wire. Came down to the last hole. Great playoff there. So yeah, that's basically all we got. So this is the season for golf. Goes all the way over until late summer. Obviously, golf is kind of a round time thing. I know that dates kind of vary, but I think spring, summer, prime for it. I know we got the Valero Texas Open, we got the Masters, we got, like I said, TPC, Pebble Beach, Phoenix Open, U.S. Open, Travelers Championship, all that. Lots of I know that Scotty Scheffler, I think the U.S. Open. I want to say the U.S. Open is what Scotty Scheffler needs to complete his Grand Slam, because he's getting close. I know that he won the... I have to keep up. I'm definitely going to do my research before we kind of get into tomorrow. Got a lot of time today to research what's going on with golf. And basically, what I know that Scotty Scheffler's close. Okay, I know that we recently had Rory McIlroy win the Masters last year. Completed his Grand Slam, so now Scotty Scheffler's following in suit. I know damn well he will, because he's only getting better. Dude's a baller. He kind of fell short this weekend in the Phoenix Open, but dude's still a baller. I know that he's far from gone in the sport. So yeah, speaking of golf, actually, a lot of FSU people I know that have been jazzed about Charlie Woods, actually Tiger Woods' son, committing to the Seminoles. So I might have to be taking a lot more trips up to Tallahassee. But that's exciting, Obviously, when it comes to college golf, I haven't kept too much into date with it. Obviously, I kept up with USF's golf team in the past year, and their trip up to the NCAA kind of championship bracket and all that. I've kept up with them. We got people like Jake Peacock, Wilhelm Riding. He's German or something. Obviously, I'm a huge Jake Peacock supporter. For those that don't know, he'll be a name. So yeah, very exciting for the Seminoles. I know that they had a lot of athletic hiccups in the. So yeah, great for golf. So basically, that's what we got going on. Golf, baseball, still a while to come. Marcell Ozuna is gone. No longer in the Braves. Breaks my heart. What a way to start off my week. Already ruined. And Spencer Schwellenbach, one of the Braves' premier pitchers, is already injured, 60-day IL. So, no hope for the Atlanta Braves baseball. I'm going to have to look for another team to kind of, watch out for this year if I want to, be into baseball. Rough sledding for the Braves here, but it has been a pleasure to come to you guys here from Ponte Vedra, Florida on this Wednesday, February 11th. Watch out for golf, watch out for the rest of the Olympics, and watch out for baseball and college basketball and the NBA Finals, blah, 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 all this stuff. But it has been a pleasure to be coming to you here from Ponte Vedra. Remember to chase your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you what to do because they do not know you. It has been Michael Schneider with Mike Depp, and I will catch you next Wednesday here on the show. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace out.